everyone, I am here today to share the biblical fiction books that I read in January 2020. As you can see, I read a lot. But I wanted to share with you guys the ones that were my picks for January this year. My first one is Until the Mountains Fall by Conlon Cassette. This is actually a really neat one because it is based in biblical times during the cities of refuge. That took place sort of like in the time of Joshua, where they had certain cities that were designated as refuge cities, where if you accidentally killed somebody and it wasn't premeditated, where you could seek refuge there so that the person, like the next family member, couldn't, try to come and kill you. So it was a safe place where you could live and no one could harm you. So these books, this series, the Cities of Refuge series, this takes place in that time period. So the characters in this book are not actual biblical characters. The main characters, at least, the main characters are fictional characters, but the book actually does take place in a actual biblical time period and in actual cities of refuge that are listed in the Bible. This was a really good read. This was actually the third one in the series, and the fourth one is coming out, I believe, in March. So I'm looking forward to that one. The next one is by Angela Hunt, and this one is called Judas Wife. This one is actually really neat too because, again, we don't really know anything about Judah Maccabee's wife. Now this one takes place, it's about the story of the Maccabees, which is not in the Bible, but it is in the book of Maccabees, which is a Jewish novel. This actually takes place, it's called The Silent Years. This entire series, The Silent Years by Angela Hunt, it actually takes place from the time the Old Testament is complete, and before the New Testament starts. There's about 400 years where the Bible doesn't really say anything happened. So, this takes place, the Maccabees took place before the New Testament happened, but it took place after Malachi. So this one is actually all about Judah's wife, and again, we don't know Judah's wife's name or anything really about her, but we do know that this took place in a biblical time with the Maccabees and Judah Maccabee fighting, and this is the story that goes back and forth from Judah's point of view to his wife's point of view of how it would have been to be his wife. This was actually a really neat read, and I read this, so I didn't actually read this one in January. I read this one around Hanukkah, so that one was a December read. But I'm including it because I didn't make a December video. Okay, so I just finished this one. This one is The Crimson Cord. This is a story about Rahab by Jill Eileen Smith. This one is a great read for anyone who really likes to see what could have possibly happened in their lives. So this one takes place in Jericho, and it revolves around Rahab. We don't know a whole lot about Rahab's past or about her family or why she even helped the spies. But this delves into how she ended up becoming a prostitute, and how she actually ended up changing. Sorry guys, I know that startled me. I have a neighbor that likes to practice shooting out in the woods, and whenever he shoots, it startles me. But anyways, this one was really neat. I really liked her take on Rahab's life, on how she became a prostitute, and I love the change that we were able to see. And then I actually learned something. I did not know that Rahab married Salmon and was the mother of Boaz, who ended up marrying Ruth. I had no idea that she was the mother of Boaz, and I just think that's amazing. So I actually did learn something from this book. So again, this was The Crimson Cord, and that's Rahab's story. So the next one is Martha by Diana Wallace Taylor. This one is a really great book. We really don't know a whole lot about Martha and Mary. Mary's the one who had anointed Jesus, and Martha was the one who kind of got a little annoyed with her sister not helping her cook and serve the men. And honestly, from the Bible stories, Martha's not really portrayed as someone who has a whole lot of patience, but this takes a whole new life on who she was as a person, who she could have been. This one is obviously a fictional account of what she might have been in real life, but it does revolve around a real character who was listed in the Bible, and during a real biblical time period when Jesus was walking the earth. So this was actually a really neat read too. I really liked Martha. The next one is Delilah, Treacherous Beauty by Angela Hunt. This is one of her novels from the Dangerous Beauty section. We all know the story of Samson and Delilah, and Delilah is usually portrayed as a lady that is not the best of people, but this story goes into what her past might have been like. Again, we don't know a whole lot about the past of Delilah, why she ended up wanting to trick Samson, and trying to figure out why his secret was, what provoked her to try to betray him to the Philistines. So this actually goes into her past, and just a fictional past, but it does use real characters from the Bible like Samson and obviously Delilah, and what her life could have possibly been, just based on the author's ideas. And this was actually a really great read. I can't wait to read the other ones in the Dangerous Beauties. This one is another retelling of Rahab. This one is Pearl in the Sand by Tessa Afshar. This one again tells a fictional account of what Rahab's life might have been like, what her past might have been like, and how she ended up saving the spies and joining Israel, and then eventually meeting and marrying Salmon to have Boaz. So, and it really shows a lot about her. She gains forgiveness from God, and how she finally is able to overcome all of her shame and grief for her past. So this one was a really great read too. And then the last one that I finally read in January was A Light on the Hill by Connellan Cassette. And again, this one is Cities of Refuge #1 in the series. And this one, again, takes place during the time period of Joshua, where there were cities of refuge that were designated, where if you accidentally murdered someone, that you could seek refuge in these places. This one is the first in the series, and I'll tell you what, it took off with a great start for this series. I was thoroughly impressed with this book. The characters themselves are fictional. They are not biblical characters, but it does take place in a biblical time period. So, again, these were all the books that I read in January. So, y'all can really tell that I love to read. So, I'm going to make another video for my February reads. And I'm hoping that I can do this every single month to show you the biblical fiction books that I read and recommend. So if you guys want to, you could follow me on Goodreads to see my lists. And then also make sure to follow me on my website, ourwhiskeylullaby.com, and my YouTube channel, which is Catherine Bartlett, where I also do unboxings of the Delilah box every month, which is a biblical fiction subscription box. So I hope you guys are enjoying this, and thank you for watching.